Hello and welcome. In this section we look at critical thinking, and one of the things we need to be very critical of and questioning is how to define variables. Let's take a look at an example here. For example, we are going to look at how to define unemployment. Seems to be a very simple economic and very important economic variable. Well, the official definition that is used by most governments is that it is the number of people who are not employed, in other words, the number of people who don't have a job and who are looking for a job. So those two conditions have to be satisfied for considering who is unemployed. And then you divide that by the total number of people in the labor force. So for example, if you have 10 million people that don't have a job and are looking for a job, and you've got 160 million people in the labor force. By the way, the labor force is different from the total population. The total population also includes people who do not have a job and are not interested in looking. The labor force is everybody that's working, and it's everybody that doesn't have a job but is looking for a job. So let's say that's 160 million people, and you divide those two, 10 divided by 160 million, which is the same as 1 over 16, which if you plug that into your calculator, you get 0.0625 as a decimal, or 6.25. Now, this definition of unemployment seems reasonable enough. However, if we study it critically, we can see that it's not really a perfect definition of unemployment that we're using for the official unemployment statistics. To illustrate this, let's take a look at an example. And instead of using the millions from the previous example, that's more realistic numbers, of course, let's just use lower numbers so we can do the math more easily. Of course, the conclusion will be the same. So let's say that we have in economy 100 people that are working 40 hours a week. And in economy 2, we have 20 people working 40 hours a week, and 90 people working 20 hours per week. Using the official definition of unemployment, which economy has the greatest unemployment rate, has the highest unemployment rate? Well, the unemployment rate is measured by the number of people who don't have a job and are looking for a job divided by the total number of people in the labor force. So in an economy 2, there are a total of 110 people working, whereas in economy 1, there's only 100 people working. So if you look at the actual number of people with or without a job, in the economy 2, there are the fewest number of people that don't have a job. So economy 2 actually has the lowest unemployment rate using the official definition. But if you look at the total number of hours that are being worked in this economy, in other words, if you look at how productive people are, then what you would do is you multiply the total number of hours that people work in this economy. And in economy number 1, you can see that it's 100 times 40, or 4,000 hours. So people are productive 4,000 hours. In economy 2, there are 20 people working 40 hours, so that's 800 hours, 20 times 40. And there are 90 people working 20 hours, so that's 90 times 20 is 1,800 hours. So if you add up the number of hours that are being worked in economy 2, it's 2,600 hours. So you can see that even though, according to the official unemployment definition, economy 2 has a lower unemployment rate, there are far fewer total number of hours worked in economy 2. And if everyone works equally productive per hour, then we can conclude that economy 1 is actually more productive than economy 2. In the Card and Kruger study that's mentioned here in our text, 2 economists looked at what are the effects of an increase in the minimum wage on unemployment. And they concluded during this particular year that they did the study that in New Jersey, when the minimum wage increased, that the unemployment rate actually went down. Well, after analyzing this further, other economists actually concluded that yes, the unemployment rate went down after the minimum wage went up, but if you looked at the total number of hours worked in New Jersey during that year after the minimum wage increased, the total number of hours actually decreased. And they noticed that that was because there were far more people working part-time after the minimum wage increase than full-time. In other words, employers had laid off full-time workers and hired part-time workers in order to save money. Since the minimum wage increased, the costs were going up, so they were trying to save money. And so they hired many more part-time workers. So you have to ask yourself, was the increase in the minimum wage a good thing for the economy? Yes, the unemployment rate went down, but the total number of people working part-time, and maybe they didn't want to work part-time, increased, so that perhaps that wasn't such a good thing.